Welcome guys, welcome to another YouTube video, and today again another very casual chat. Probably by now, reading the title, you guys pretty much understand what I'm going to be talking about, which is I think very important also to add a little bit of extra flavor and different perspective to actually look at things. When we understand, when we see the word or the words growth mindset, automatically we start thinking about being you know being rich, being financially more I guess stable, which is very funny to me. But again, that's probably the new wave, new trend. But again, so instead of going on and on about other things, I'm just going to give you guys 6 points that I think pretty much encapsulate the entire idea of growth mindset that I would like to actually talk about and convey the message to everybody, including myself. Okay, so number one, the very first step would be to actually set up some goals. Okay, set up some goals. So the reason I say set up some goals is because some cases you might be having, or you should be having, short-term goal, mid-term goal, long-term goal, right? We have all heard about this, and sometimes we just really don't care about all of this, but these are actually very important. When you actually understand and have some goals, very tangible, measurable, and timed goal, okay? These are very important. When you set up goals, make sure those are achievable, make sure those are measurable. You understand how to measure, you know yourself, where you are in that process. And whether it's a specific or it's very generic, like a broad idea. So those things are very important when we set up the goals, right? So assuming you guys can set up goals which are, like I said, specific, measurable, timed, achievable, also realistic, okay, and something that actually can add value to your life. So once you set up those goals, okay, short term can be 6 months to 12 months, mid term maybe 2 years, 2 to 3 years, long term maybe 5 to 10 years, then you suddenly have this new purpose of life, which is you looking forward to something, you looking forward to achieve something, right? I just want to give a pretty big disclaimer. When we think this idea of achieving something in life, it doesn't necessarily need to be all the time a monetary or financially achieving something. Okay, that is a misconception to me. I've been seeing a lot of YouTube videos these days popping up here there. People talk about success and your goals need to be I'm gonna be millionaire by the age of that and all of these things, right? Which to me is absolutely garbage. It means nothing. Which again, I will be uploading quite a few other videos, debunking those or sort of arguing against those ideas. But anyway, so number one is setting up some goals. So set up some goals for yourself. Okay. Number two would be SWOT analysis. Okay, SWOT. Some of you probably have studied this in university, college, school. When I say SWOT analysis, it is understanding and determining your strengths. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? For W for weaknesses. What are your weaknesses? Your opportunities. What are the opportunities you have had in the past, you have taken, or maybe you didn't take it, or maybe based on your current scenario, based on your current situation, your current lifestyle, what are the opportunities you think you have right now and you might have in the future? Okay, so understanding and sort of determining those. So those are your opportunities. And your last one is D, which is threats. So what are the hurdles, literally? What are the hurdles? What are the obstacles that you had before in the past for not to be able to take those opportunities, or you have right now, or maybe you might have in the future, right? Say for example, based on your experience, you can be very good at subject A, which can lead your career to one direction, but to be able to do that, that's your opportunity. You can achieve that in the future, but the threat in that case would be maybe you need extra a specific license or certification, which is a threat, maybe because you don't have it right now. So the whole idea of this is to actually understand you know, your strengths, your weaknesses, so that you can work on your strengths to make it even better, work on your weaknesses to make it your strengths, transform the weaknesses into strengths, and then understanding and determining the opportunities that you could have taken, but you didn't take it, and what the opportunities you might have in the future and whatnot. Analyzing this, and then understanding the threats obviously comes with this, and then how can you fight that back? How can you be on top of the game? So I hope this makes sense. It's a little bit complicated, but if you just go to Google, and if I find any good links, good articles on the SWOT analysis, I'll share with you guys, so you guys can give it a quick read, and then it should be fairly easy to understand. Now, the reason I said that this is very important, and this is probably the most difficult, is we human beings, we normally ask ourselves these questions. Okay, and especially questions like, okay, define yourself, tell me your strengths, tell me your weaknesses, things like that. And the reason is, well, if you are looking for a job or you have faced interviews, questions like these might, come up, and did come up. And normally people actually have some predetermined answer that, okay, if I ever get any question in the interview process, during the interview process, I'll be saying these are my weaknesses, these are my strengths. But that's not true, and everybody knows about it. It becomes difficult when we sit down, take a step back, think about it, have a very deep contemplation on this. Then it becomes very difficult how to define yourself. So therefore, what are your weaknesses, what are your strengths, what are your opportunities, and so therefore the threats, right? So take a bit of time, understand, analyze yourself. It's always good to not just to have this growth mindset and whatnot, but it's always good to actually know yourself better than anybody else. So that's point number 2. Point number 3 is expand your skills and your learnings. When we think our learnings and our skills, we tend to think that, okay, it's a matter of how many certifications I have, how many degrees I have, how many licenses I have, and if I have that, or if I have those, then that's where everything stops. Now that's the problem, right? That is the problem, because that means we're not actually keeping ourselves up to date. We're actually falling behind. When we talk about inflation, we normally talk about inflation in what? In the value, in the price of the item, right? But inflation also can be applied in this case, that whatever you have learned 5 years ago, it might not be still relevant today, because things have changed, technology has changed, socio-economical scenario has changed, the economic landscape has changed, the political landscape has changed, so many things has changed. So if you are not continuously learning and developing yourself and expanding your knowledge, then just because you have a master's degree, just because you have a PhD, means nothing, right? So always make sure, if you want to grow, whether it's grow that I want to become the millionaire or billionaire, and I want to have my own startup and all these things, so as much as it's all materialistic, even if you as a person, if you want to grow, if you want to become a better person tomorrow than today, you always need to make sure you're learning and you expanding your skills, your knowledge, especially knowledge. It's very, very important, so this is very important. Again, it's not about collecting the pieces of paper. Okay, it's not about collecting how many certificates, how many degrees you can collect. That means nothing. Probably, you can collect 10 of them, but probably, your deep knowledge is not up to the mark, right? So that would be point number 3. Point number 4 would be somewhat related to point number 3, which is so point number 4 would be defining your comfort zone. Okay, so what is your comfort zone? Understand, again, ask yourself, doing a bit of analysis on yourself, understand, okay, what is my comfort zone? Okay, if this is my comfort zone, then I'm not getting challenged. And if I'm not getting challenged, so therefore I don't know my full potential, right? That's the whole problem. And the moment you don't know your full potential, that means you're not getting enough challenge. That means you're slowly becoming complacent. You're slowly becoming reactive instead of being proactive. And as a human being, if we fall into that trap, that means all your growth mentality, your growth mindset, whatever you want to call, you're progressing, you want to become a better version of yourself tomorrow than today, and all of these nice fancy jargons will mean nothing literally, right? So you got to make sure that you understand your comfort zone. You got to push yourself. Again, pushing yourself does not mean you have to work and hustle and grind for like 19 hours, 25 hours. Sometimes they say that you got to work 25 hours in 24 hours. No, that's not the whole idea. The whole idea is understand your comfort zone. Understand, are you asking yourself that question that, okay, am I doing anything challenging? Am I learning anything new? Am I doing anything new? Am I adding any extra value in my in my life, and value to the people around me? So that brings me number 5, which is very relevant. Yeah, this is the word, very relevant these days, which is we need to stop comparing ourselves. We need to stop stop the envy and missing of fear out. That is probably be one of the most important elements in this case, okay? Especially in the age of YouTube, okay, or your other social media, your TikTok and your Instagram and all these things. We tend to compare ourselves to other people because we continuously scrolling through and finding and watching other people doing other things, and they're making their first $1 million at the age of 16 and at the age of 18 or 20, whatever it is, and cryptocurrency, NFTs, and somebody's making so much money and all this. So we continuously we consuming this, right? This is very problematic. We're consuming all of this, right? And then we tend to define, okay, that is the success. Okay, that it should be my goal as well. Well, I need to be that person. Okay, the moment we fall into this trap, that means we are doomed. We are absolutely doomed. Okay, so that is a big no-no. If you want to grow, if you want to have that growth mindset, this should be eliminated right away. You cannot do that. You can watch, no problem. If you want to learn something, a thing or two, that's fine. You can watch it. If you want to watch for the purpose of entertainment, that's fine. But the moment you start comparing that, the moment you want to become that person, just because that person has done something, that means that is a very big problem. And then that led us to then discounting ourselves, demoralization, and undermining ourselves. And then we started losing the confidence. Then we started going into this depression and frustration and anger and all of these things. And then we end up going back to square one. Okay, we go nowhere, literally. So then that brings me point number 6, and I'll probably wrap up with this. The last point is you got to empower yourself. And how you empower yourself, you got to make sure that you take baby steps, you look after yourself, you have a lovely family, you are happy. Okay, you bring the happiness to your life. Defining the priorities, defining your goals, setting up your goals, defining your priorities. Okay, having a nice balance, and understand what is the core value that you have that you always would like to hold on to. Okay, so this is the way, again, through knowledge, through learning, through enjoying the life in a meaningful way, you can actually empower yourself. So that's my 6 points. I could probably go on and on about each of these topics separately. I can probably make videos. Not that I'm I'm not claiming to become to be the most knowledgeable in any of these, but these are my personal perspective, personal opinions. Again, hopefully some of you will be able to relate to this. Some of you probably will be able to agree. Some of you might not be, might have a different opinions, right? Might not agree with me, which is absolutely fine. So drop a comment or two if you have any thoughts. If you want to add anything else. If I have said anything wrong, let me know. And I will see you guys in the next videos. Till then, stay safe, stay well, and look after yourself. Thank you.